So today we're going to take a look at what's going to happen if the Czech Republic forms an empire in the modern day. This video is going to be very unrealistic. All the events that are going to happen are purely fictional. But yeah, now let's get right into the video. Now Czechia here is a pretty interesting country. I mean, they're kind of surrounded by some very stronger nations, and going all out expansion mode would trigger some of these countries to form a coalition against these guys. But since my videos are unrealistic, we're just going to be ignoring all of that. Also, major alliances like NATO, CSTO, the EU or the UN, they won't exist in this video or in my other videos. But yeah, the first thing that the Czechs are going to do is basically they're going to start to militarize their country, because as of right now their military is not too good. And yeah, they're going to have to improve that first of all, and then after a while they're going to start recruiting more and more troops. And after a few decades of preparations, we can see that the Czech Republic now declares war on the first country that they want to invade. The only good option here is going to be Slovakia. So yeah, now let's see. We can see that the Czech troops now push into Slovakia. Unfortunately for the Slovakians, their capital city was right on the border, and so they lost it. The Czechs now push in from all sides, and after a few years of fighting and after losing a lot of territory, we can see that the Slovakians go ahead and surrender. This was a decisive victory for the Czech Republic, and in a peace negotiation we can see that all of Slovakia got completely annexed. We have Czechoslovakia here now. The borders look amazing. You'd still want some of this, but okay. After the invasion of Slovakia, the Czechs are now pretty much confident they can go on to invade other countries, I guess, but they still don't have that great military with which they can invade these other countries. And for that, they're gonna take their time. They're gonna try to stabilize the nation, come up with military reforms, and we're just gonna say that after a very long time of militarization, the Czech Republic is once again ready for their second military campaign. And for that, we can see that they go on and declare war on the Hungarians. Now, the reason why they're gonna declare war on the Hungarians is that maybe if they can win this war, they're gonna have access to these weaker countries. So yeah, now let's see. At first though, we can see that the Hungarians start to push in, and it seems like the Czechs underestimated the Hungarians, but the Czechs also start their push into Hungary. They push around and secure some of these regions, but the Hungarians are also pushing in, and they have secured a significant amount of land over here in Slovakia. They're being pushed back over here too, but after realizing that they had underestimated the Hungarians, more and more troops arrive on the front lines. They start to push back the Hungarians, and their goal is to get to the capital city of Buda. The Hungarians too continue their push until eventually there is this kind of a stalemate, but a breakthrough happens and the Czechs are going all in. Unfortunately for the Hungarians, they lost their capital city because most of their military was up here. After losing their capital city and after fearing encirclement, the remaining parts of Hungary go ahead and surrender. This was a very weird-ish victory for the Czechs. It was pretty much unexpected, but this complete annexation was expected. The Czechs now have taken over the entirety of Hungary, and things are going great for the Czech Republic. Although because of their rapid expansion, some of the neighboring countries are really worried. They're getting worried because the Czech Republic is militarizing constantly and they are expanding, so you don't know what they're going to be doing next. But yeah, for now these countries are not going to be stopping the Czech expansion, as this is their video and we want them to expand. After just a few months of the Hungarian invasion, we can see that they declare war on Slovenia. Yeah, this was unfortunate. Slovenia could not possibly defend itself, and in a peace negotiation we can see that all of Slovenia got completely annexed. The Austrians have been cut off from the Balkan nations. I don't know what their reaction would be, but yeah, the Czechs are still expanding, and they're also trying to have good relations with the European countries. They might want to plan out a coalition in the future, but no, for now they still are expanding. After a while we can see that they go ahead and declare war on Croatia purely for expansion purposes. Again, we can see that the Croatians now push in, and they've secured pretty much all of Slovenia. It seems that the Czechs have once again underestimated these guys, but they start their own push, securing some of these regions. And because the Czech Republic has started their own push into Croatia, the troops in Slovenia now fall back, resulting in Slovenia once again going into the Czech hands. These troops continue their push, and their goal is to get to the capital city. They make another push from here, cutting off the western parts of Croatia from mainland Croatia, or are these the southern parts? But anyways, after a very long war, the capital city finally fell, after which the remaining parts of the country go ahead and surrender, and another decisive victory for the Czech Empire. They pretend that they're losing a war, but they win it. Croatia too got completely annexed into the Czech Empire, but the Czech Empire is not gonna go further south. Instead, as I've said before, they were trying to form a coalition against a country here, and that country was going to be very major. And I know it's very unrealistic, But let's just pretend that this happens. Basically, the Czechs first go on and declare war on the Germans, but they were not the only country to declare war on these guys. The Czechs were able to drag in some countries. These countries include France, Poland, as well as the UK. And I know, very unrealistic, but that's just how my videos are. So let's see. We can see that the Czech troops now start pushing into Germany, securing some of these regions. The Polish also start their own push. These are surprise attacks on the Germans. Unfortunately for the Germans, their capital city is right on the border with Poland. But yeah, the French also start to push in from the south, securing their own regions down here. And finally, to make things worse, we can see that the UK makes a naval landing over here, where they now start to push around. The Czechs continue their push, securing all of these border regions. The Polish, however, do get pushed back by the Germans, who desperately want to secure their capital city. They get pushed back all the way to their borders, but in the other front lines, they're just too heavily outnumbered and they're losing ground. We can see that the French too have secured a lot of regions in southern Germany. The Germans are fighting a four-front war, I guess. The Polish once again start their push. This time they make a lot more progress. The UK makes a spearhead right here, cutting off the northern parts of Germany from mainland Germany and meeting up with the Polish troops. These parts then go ahead and surrender. Now the leaders from the Czech Empire, Poland, and the UK sit down and they discuss on how they could take Berlin, all combining their forces. And after a few months, we can see that they make a plan. The Brits and the Polish now start to push in from the north. The Czechs also push up, and after a very bloody battle, we can see that Berlin was taken alongside with these other regions of Germany. After all of this chaos, we can see that the remaining parts of Germany go ahead and surrender, as they could not possibly win this war against all of these countries all combined. And now let's take a look at a peace negotiation. And oh wow, things ain't looking too hot for the Germans. They have lost pretty much everything. The UK took all of this, the French took all of these regions, the Polish took all of these parts, and the most amount of land was taken by the Czech Empire. So yeah, good for these guys, but their border look absolutely hideous. So let's try to fix that real quick. The Czechs declare war on the Austrians. Dude, this would fix the border so much if they would win. But okay, let's see. We can see that the Czech troops now push into Austria. This was a surprise attack, and they tried to get Vienna, but the Austrian forces were mobilized at this point, and they start to push back the Czechs, but not all the way to their borders. The Czech troops also push in from here, cutting off the western parts of Austria from mainland Austria, which then go ahead and surrender, and these guys start to push in. After the arrival of a new army, these Czech troops now push in again. Unfortunately for the Austrians, this time they lost their capital city of Vienna, after which the remaining parts of Austria surrender, as there was nothing left to defend. And in a peace negotiation, all of Austria got completely annexed. Wow, the Czech Empire looks huge. A little too big. We're gonna divide up the empire, yeah, because we haven't done that in a long time. Okay, so if we take a look at these divisions, the empire got divided up. I guess this was the Czech Empire at its peak. Now not at its peak, I guess. So yeah, this is gonna be it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell me what you guys want to see in the future. Thank you for watching.